What's going on, guys? This is Bumstar, and today we're playing all the mods 10 the sky. So in this episode, my original plan was just to jump right into productive bees. In order to do that, I need honey, and my little mob farm that I have underground isn't producing any. So looking at the quest log, we need witches, and we need a lot of them. So I think it's about time we do a actual mob farm with spawners. So I've set up this little area here. Got the one over here that will be for all of our hostile mobs, and the one over here, all of our passive mobs. And the reason we're doing passive mobs is to set it up for better pink slime production. So that way we can do some better upgrades and just utilize our industrial foregoing a bit better. So with that, let's just go right into it. In between episodes, I went through the nether and I grabbed a bunch of spawners. And now these are all blaze spawners, but we're going to be able to change those. And to change that, we are going to utilize something called GM chicken feed. What that allows us to do is feed this to a chicken and we will get a spawn egg. We need to grab all of our mob swabs, and then we're going to need some buckets of experience. Luckily, we have some essence through industrial foregoing that we can use. So let's grab our buckets and let's make all of our chicken feed. And now we need some chickens. Luckily, we have our market over here, but our guys kind of disappeared, but that's fine. We can just still come over here and buy some chicken eggs. We're going to need some diamonds. And now we just spawn our chicken in, give it the chicken feed,
Happy birthday, Taco!
and it blows up and gives us a spawn egg. Now, I do realize I could just buy all of our passive mob spawn eggs from here, but I've already got this set up, so I'm just gonna do it.
Happy birthday, Taco! Happy birthday, Taco!
And now that we have our spawn eggs, we can grab our spawners. We want to set up a few things. So the most important modification that we're going to need right off the bat is going to be the redstone control. That way, mobs don't start spawning until we actually send it a redstone signal. So now that we have all of our spawners here, we need to figure out what spawns we want over here. And this is going to be our hostile mobs, so we're going to do blaze, phantom, spiders, wither skeleton skulls, witch, and creeper. So to change these spawners over, all you have to do is right click the egg on the spawner, and now these are all set to blaze, phantom, spider, wither skeleton, witch, and creeper. If I turn these on right now, they would just spawn, start attacking me, doing, all the normal mob things. But with Apothic Spawners, you can set up a ton of different modifiers. You can increase the spawn range, the spawn count, you can silence them, the redstone control, which we just did. You can increase the activation range so you can be further away. Give it chorus fruit to completely turn off AI, which means they will not attack you, they will not fly, they will just fall to the ground and do nothing. You can reduce the spawn delay. You can increase the amount of entities that can spawn, decrease the max spawn delay. You can reduce the initial health, and you can give it another star to completely ignore players. That means it will just always run whether you're close by or not. Give a soul lantern to ignore all lights, and then you can give it a conduit to ignore all conditions. You can give it an echo shard to spawn extra loot, campfire for burning. You can also reverse them all by holding a nether quartz in your offhand and then putting the items in here. So the first thing that we're going to do is give everything a piece of wool to silence it, so that way they don't make any annoying noises. And when you push control over it, you can see that it says silent now down at the bottom. And then we're going to do fermented spider eye. So we're going to increase the spawn count on each one and give it chorus fruit for no AI, sugar to bring down the spawn delay, gas tears to increase the max entities, blocks to reduce the max spawn delay, dripstone to bring down the initial health. Be careful with the dripstone because it seems to consume it even after you hit the 20% initial. Give each one another star to ignore players, soul lantern to remove the light, so that way our ferro flares will not affect us. And then we'll give each one 3 echo shards to increase the amount of loot that spawns. And then these spawners are just completely juiced up. They are going to spawn as fast as they possibly can with the easiest kill and the most mobs they can while dropping a ton of loot. So now we need a way to kill them, and we're going to set that up just like we did the one below, except instead of using fans, we're going to use conveyor belts. When you're placing these down, they are going to face the direction that you were facing them, and you just want to lead them all to the kill zone. And be careful when you're working with these, as they will push you around as well. They say block of redstone down, kill the wandering trader, and now we're ready for our mob masher. There are other options that you can use to kill the mobs, but I just like using the mob masher. It's pretty simple. You can add some upgrades here. It isn't the fastest way to kill mobs, but it is efficient. And there are a ton of extra upgrades where it can do smite, increase fire damage, better chance of killing killing spiders, and beheading. We're not going to worry about any of those. We just increase sharpness, upgraded looting to get better loot and kill quicker. Once again, be extremely careful around this because this will attack you. And we're just going to put a redstone lever on the back of each of these. You could set up some actual redstone running all the way up if you wanted to, but I just like to use these levers because once I have this set up, I don't really ever turn this off. Now we need our experience collector and our item collector. I'm going to go ahead and place a barrel here as a buffer and put our item collector right here. And let's make sure to set our range. Now the entire box is encapsulated, so every item that drops is going to be pushed into this barrel. Now we're going to set the same thing with the experience holder. And make sure to set this both to 1 tick so they're picking everything up immediately. If you're playing on a server, keep this at 20 just to increase server stability and to make sure to turn off particles as well. And now at this point, you are kind of ready. You can do the same thing that we did before with the mob farm downstairs, setting up the void upgrades in here. And then all we need to do is link it to our system. So we can either run that through functional storage like we have before, or we can just link it directly to our applied logistics system. So anything that's not in the functional storage will still be pushed into the system. You just want to be careful because you do not want to bog it down with useless things. So I strongly recommend setting up those void upgrades. And as long as I set this up correctly, they should all start spawning and being pushed in to kill. And as you can see, we are already overflowing. So you want to be extremely careful because this is a very quick way to freeze up your entire game. So as you can see, that worked a little too well. I ended up having to break all the spawners. I did use my silk touch pickaxe so that way they don't actually break, and stop that from overflowing the game with items. Yeah, that's exactly why you don't do that. So what you definitely want to do is set up these void upgrades. I would strongly suggest figuring out what each mob drops first before you start running them, or just run one for a second, let it fill up, close it off, and rinse and repeat until you set up your void upgrades and or a way to sync them into your system. What we're going to do, come back over here and grab a functional storage access point, link it to our system, and make sure to of course upgrade it with a diamond pipe upgrade. That way everything moves a lot quicker. And then we'll go ahead and set up our void upgrade. So we're going to get rid of all Apotheosis stuff because we're already collecting that downstairs. We don't need more of it here. Set this so it works in GUI. So anything that's put in there that's not supposed to be will be deleted. Set this one to tag. And set Minecraft armors and tools. And now let's put our spawners back down. And we'll go ahead and do this the right way. So we put one down and let's just make sure that everything has a spot. And the unfortunate side effect is this is just not moving quick enough. Alright, so now we put a wireless connector down with an import bus, because that should move a lot quicker. So let's go ahead and test that out. So unfortunately our import is just not working quick enough. Normally I don't put the echoing, but I wanted to try it out. And yeah, that might have been a little bit of a mistake. Now another option we have is we could use Super Factory Manager. that should transfer these items a heck of a lot quicker. So I want to go ahead and give that a shot. So with Super Factory Manager, you want the Factory Manager down, and anything that's touching the Factory Manager will work. But you can also use these inventory cables, and as long as they're touching anything that you want it to work with, it'll be able to interact with those. So we're putting the Factory Manager down right next to the barrel, and then we are going to put our Factory Manager program disk in here, and then let's look at view examples. So for a simple program, this is all we're going to need. We're going to need to input from A and output to B. So we're going to input from barrel and output to storage. And our storage is going to be our controller access point. We're going to need to shift right click with our label gun and then right click into the air, and we have these tags, these labels. So if we click barrel and then we right click the barrel, it'll now be labeled as barrel. Switch it over to storage. And now this is labeled as storage. And then we just right click the Factory Manager. Now it says it's running, which means it's working. And now every 20 ticks, it's going to pull from the barrel and it's going to output to the storage. Now we want this to be quicker. So what we're going to do, we're going to copy this, add it again, and go every 21 ticks, then every 22 ticks. And you can do this for every tick, or you can do this for every 5. I would probably suggest doing every 5. And what I'm going to do is just do this up to 40. And now this should just start pumping. So let's give it a shot, see if it works. Keep in mind there are going to be some things that stay inside of the chest, or inside of the barrel, because they are not linked. So let's turn our magnet on so we can tell when things are not being picked up. And we've already got a full inventory, and this isn't working because I did not link controller to the system instantly. Those have been removed. And now let's try it again. And as you can see, the rib bone isn't being removed. So anytime there's an item that's not being removed, it's because it's not in our functional storage system. So we just need to grab it out and place it in there. Otherwise, this is working. So now that we have this insane mob farm running, and we're not lagging out our game because we're able to collect the items quick enough with our Super Factory Manager, I've noticed that I am not getting any honey bottles. And without honey bottles, we can't make most of the productive bees items. So we're going to have to figure out how we're getting those items to begin with, because we need bees and we need honey. And with that honey, we can make our beehives, we can make our cages, everything that we need to start catching bees and all of those different things. And we can't do any of that until we have honey. So I used the internet to figure out how to get bees. And well, I did it. I did it by growing birch saplings next to flowers to spawn a beehive. And now I have some bees flying around, which means next episode we can actually get started into productive bees and really increase our resource automation to the point where I think after this, we won't have to worry about resource automation at all, because, well, bees just spawn a ton, especially when you get them set up correctly. So in between episodes, I'm going to set up our passive mob farm so we can start collecting pink slime just by using the slaughter like we did over there, and having that all set up and sucked in. And then we have our mob farm here. And, well, we had some fun setting that up and ran into a few problems, but it's completely working now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later.